What's up, all you ecologists out there? Today, we're going to be talking about the ecological concept, mutualism, the ideal win-win scenario in nature's many different dynamics. Moving forward, we'll be discussing the following. What is mutualism? Why it matters? Plant pollinators, cleaners, humanity, and gut bacteria, as well as an in-depth look at some niche examples like ants and acacia trees, along with deep-sea tube worms. To start, what exactly is mutualism? Well, mutualism is one of the kinder relationships in nature. Everyone wins, no one-sided exploitation and harm, or freeloaders mooching off of more than benevolent hosts. As the ideal win-win scenario, mutualism, whilst beneficial for both, does still impose costs on either party. A sort of, you scratch my back, I scratch yours policy. However, that isn't to say that these costs are always equal. A lot of the time, one party may in fact be at the mercy of the other, making such relationships so rare and delicate. Now, you may be wondering, why exactly does this matter? Well, to start with, let's take a look at some of the most basic dynamic principles. Plants, to start, depend on animals a lot for seed dispersion, propagation amongst each other across larger areas. Animals require plants, the first most trophic level, as primary producers for the entirety of the food web. In turn, we, as a species, require and have required both for the entirety of human history. The more well-rounded the ecosystem, the greater the bounty we reap. Moving forward, a classic example, visible in your day-to-day, bees and flowers. Since time immemorial, these two genus have been working together towards a common goal, propagation and expansion. It's simple. Bees visit flowers to collect nectar, which they use to make honey. While they're at it, they brush up against the flower's pollen and carry it to the next flower they visit. That's called pollination, and it's how many plants reproduce. So the bee gets food and the flower gets to make more flowers. Fun fact. About 75% of the world's flowering plants and around 35% of the food we eat relies on this kind of pollination that includes fruits, vegetables, and even chocolate. We owe a lot to that partnership in particular. Let's take a look at something a lot more delicate, so to speak. Ever heard of cleaner fish? These are small fish that actually clean bigger fish by eating parasites and dead skin off their bodies. It sounds gross, but it's actually super helpful. The little fish get an easy meal, and the bigger fish stay healthy and parasite-free. Some fish will quite literally line up at certain coral cleaning stations to get serviced, like a car wash but in the ocean. Both species benefit without hurting each other, despite the clear upside to doing so by the larger party involved. It's surprisingly organized for something happening in the wild. What about us? How do we participate in mutualism? Sure, there's pets, livestock, or houseplants and agriculture. However, we may not realize it, but we have mutualistic relationships happening inside our bodies every single day, especially in our guts. Our digestive system is home to trillions of bacteria that help break down food, absorb nutrients, and even fight off harmful germs. In return, we give these microbes a warm, safe place to live and a steady food supply. Without them, digestion would be a lot harder, and we'd probably get sick more often. These microbiomes are essentially a pseudo-immune system, developed over years of child development from our parents' own microbiomes, moving into an incredibly unique game of tower defense, ants and acacia trees. Now here's a weird, but quite honestly, fascinating one. Some trees actually hire ants to protect them. One famous example is the acacia tree, which grows hollow thorns that ants can live in. The tree also makes sweet nectar just for the ants to eat. In return, the ants patrol the tree, attacking any insects or animals that try to harm it, even clearing out competing plants nearby. So the tree provides food and housing, and the ants act like tiny security guards. It's mutualism with a side of real estate. If the ants were to be removed or outcompeted by non-cooperative ants, this kind of keystone species would completely debase the surrounding ecosystem. The removed ants would no longer be getting rid of the competing plants, weakening the trees, and leaving them vulnerable to the browsers in the area. With less trees, higher visibility leaves prey animals like gazelles and zebras able to see stalkers like lions much more easily, causing the lions to lose precious prey and either shifting their focus or starving altogether. Going down, even in places where life shouldn't survive, like the deep ocean near hydrothermal vents, mutualism still finds a way. There, you'll find giant tube worms that don't even have mouths or stomachs. Instead, they house bacteria inside their bodies. These bacteria convert toxic vent chemicals, like hydrogen sulfide, into energy, basically making food from poison. The bacteria get a safe place to live, and the worms get nutrients. No sunlight, no plants, just mutualism helping life exist in one of the harshest environments on Earth. So, what's the big takeaway here? Mutualism shows us that cooperation is just as important in nature as competition. Whether it's bees helping flowers, bacteria helping humans, or ants guarding trees, mutualism is everywhere. It's a reminder that in order to thrive, living things often have to work together, sometimes in ways we'd never expect. So the next time you see a bee buzzing around a flower or eat yogurt full of live cultures, remember you're looking at mutualism in action. Nature isn't just survival of the fittest. Sometimes it's survival of the friendliest.